how to find the cheapest flight. I'm going to start with the first step. Select any airport or nearby airport. What do I mean by that? You go here, for example, on this site, you will see that you have options. Let's say you're going to Paris. You can type Paris like I did. It will suggest the city, or it will suggest the airport. So don't pick one airport, don't limit yourself. Pick the city so that you search by the city and you make sure you find the cheapest flight that way. To be flexible on the date so that you have the cheapest rate, so you select flexible and you look for a website that has several dates on a spreadsheet. Like this one is it's terribly useful. So for example, I'm going to Paris from San Francisco. I'm looking for the cheapest flight. So here on the x-axis you have the return date, on the y-axis you have the departure date. So if I'm going on February 8th, Thursday, and I'm looking for the cheapest flight leaving Thursday, there is one coming back on the 28th, as you can see, at $6.19. That sounds very reasonable. This is the cheapest. You see it's highlighted for me at $5.98. That's probably what I will pick. So that's how I go about it. Here you see from February 8th to March 1st is the cheapest. The second cheapest is February 8th to February 28th. I don't see anything cheaper closer in date. So on any other website I go to, whether it's Priceline, Kayak, Cheaper Hair, you name it, I'm going to look for those dates first before finding anything else. So after several search, I ended up with over 60 tabs with different website travel agencies to choose from. Here are a few notable mention. So French Bee, it's an actual airline, so they actually have a plane, so they're not just a travel agency. They have good deals, I will say. Let me show you this one, for example, as an illustration. You can get a round trip ticket for around $512. This is the outbound flight, so for example from San Francisco to Paris. What's worth mentioning are the options. This option, the cheapest option, that comes to a total of $510 or $500 round trip from San Francisco to Paris in February, March, has those restrictions. So only a personal item, and personal item and carry-on are not the same. So and luggage, no checked baggage, no meals even, non-refundable, non-changeable. So this is great for someone who knows exactly when they're going, etc. That seems like a good deal. The issue, like I mentioned on my outline of things to watch for, is to read the fine line. So here I'm reading the details. Before booking, read all the details to know and make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into. This site does an average to good job to explain what you're getting into. I'll show you another site that doesn't do it as well. Here, Cheaper Hair, they have the same flight. You're gonna notice it's the same airline, so that's how I know it's the same flight. A little more expensive, so you see here it's $5.19. Total with French Bee was $501, so maybe they're getting a commission or whatever. But look here, it says in terms of baggage information, personal item. So what does personal item mean? It should mean only your small bag, no carry-on allowed. But when I called them a few minutes ago, the person over the phone told me no, personal item includes carry-on. There's no precision here that it says no carry-on. The risk here is that once you purchase this ticket, and if it doesn't say it on the ticket, you're going to end up at the airport realizing that you have to pay for the carry-on, and usually that's going to charge a lot. For this airline, for example, it's $90 if you do it within the 48 hours. So you have to be very careful, and whenever you pay for extra luggage, you have to pay when you're leaving departure and also returning. So you don't have one price for both. You usually pay twice. So worth mentioning as well. What else is important? Yes, the reputation of the travel agency or the customer satisfaction. This is how I measure it. I went, for example, on Cheaper Hair. I called the number that was provided. Some of them provide the number, others don't. I think those ones provided the number. I called. I talked to the agent and I asked a few questions actually about this flight. The person was confused to the point that he was directing me towards another flight and insisting to have my name, my number, and my email before giving me any information, even though all I wanted to know was just, hey, baggage information, does it really mean personal item including carry-on or not? And those tactics usually are something I avoid. If I have to, I'm going to deal with them, but otherwise I use that as a measurement to compare who to go with, because once you get to the airport and you have an issue with your plane ticket, those are the people you're going to be dealing with. So if you already have a hard time confirming some information over the phone with them, you won't have any luck doing that once you're at the airport, once there is an issue or you need to cancel your flight, change your flight, blah blah blah. So that's worth mentioning. So I did that with them. I did that with this company, like I mentioned, French Bay. A few feedback. I traveled with them. I'm not really a fan, but I'm a fan of cheap. So far, they have a good deal. Why am I not so much a fan of them? From personal experience, my color skin in France is not necessarily very popular. I will say, compared to someone living in the US and so forth, you're gonna feel a difference in terms of discrimination, even in the airline with the how do you call it, hostess, the travel ladies. Sorry, my English needs to wake up. I kind of sense that. What other issue I had to change the flight. One person told me one fee for penalty, another person changed the fee within 5 minutes of a conversation. So that's the other issue I had with them. But still, if I compare, I have to make some trade-off. So I have to either deal with those people who are actually the airline, so they own the plane and so forth, or go through a travel agency who is going to try to get my email and contact information rather than actually answering my question. And some don't even have a phone number, like Kiwi. I think it's quite popular. Some of you have been on Kiwi, I've bought through Kiwi. Tell me if you find a phone number. I looked, I couldn't find. And there was one message that was saying, you need to book with us before you can open, I believe, a chat line or get in contact with customer support. This is a red flag for me. It probably means that your customer service quality is restricted to only your customer and probably not as great. I don't really want to take risk with those people unless your price is way more interesting, which is not the case. For the same flight here, you're seeing it's at $541. So those are the key points to pay attention to. I don't think I forgot something. If I do, feel free to share, but I'm just happy to share my experience so that you guys make better decisions. I'm happy to also share all the tabs. I can create a bookmark with a folder and all those. Happy to share them if anyone finds it useful. I actually rank them so that next time we have to travel, I know how to quickly sort through them. I think I went through everything important. The last key things, like I mentioned on my outline framework, you have to let me go through them. Yeah, we went through research on several sites, which is what I did. Pick 5 of the cheapest, so I went through and picked the 5. Check the flight details, booking fine print, which is what I was mentioning. Flight details, how many luggage are allowed? I don't want to go to the airport to find out. Booking fine print, am I allowed to cancel? Am I allowed to change the flight? What is the policy? They even have some funny policies. You want to add the luggage within 48 hours with that French airline, for example. It's going to cost you twice the price. I believe it's $90, like I mentioned. Then if you add a luggage 48 hours before the 48 hours, so they make it $45. So all those things you have to read to make sure you're making a good decision. Compare one way to round trip. That's very important. Sometimes you might end up having a good deal on the one way and ending up realizing that 2 one-way trip might be equivalent to one round trip. And that's also worth mentioning. You are outside of the US, you might find a slightly better deal than when you're inside the US. So someone who does one way to Europe and then one way back might find a deal that way better than a round trip. You have to test to find out. What else? Compare price found using VPN. So I use a VPN to change my IP address and see if it makes a difference. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It seems to be more of a hassle than a solution, so I'm not sure that's helpful as much. And then you buy the plane ticket, that's it. Oh, buying was an issue as well. For whatever reason, particularly that website did not accept the payment that I made through a non-bank, Bank of America. So that was also another hassle that took me 1 hour. Basically, the fraud alert department from the bank had to be contacted to validate the transaction before it went through. So that's also worth mentioning. I'm not sure it affects your decision, but it's just good to know so that you don't wait for the last minute until you do it. I think I covered most of everything. Anything that you want to know that I forgot, or anything that you learned, please feel free to share in your comments and so forth. Enjoy your trip, stay safe and make good decisions. Stay frugal, my friend.